Hey, it's Dorothy from Crazy for Crust. Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm crazy for cheesecake because I'm going to show you how to make my favorite pumpkin cheesecake recipe. It's a thick pumpkin cheesecake with a nice ginger snap crust. It's perfect for Thanksgiving or Christmas or any time in the fall. I like to top it with a little bit of whipped cream. You guys, I hope that you love this as much as I do. If you love delicious desserts, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's get in the kitchen. Now, making cheesecake is a little bit involved. There's lots of little steps, but it's totally worth it. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take out your cream cheese and your eggs, and you're gonna let them come to room temperature for at least an hour or two before you start baking your cheesecake. I recommend leaving them out for 2 hours at least. For the crust, I'm gonna use ginger snaps. I love the combination of the spicy gingerbread and ginger snap flavor with the creamy cheesecake and that pumpkin spice flavor. It's an amazing combination. Now, if you don't like ginger snaps, you can use graham crackers, but I highly recommend trying the ginger snap crust because it's epic. Now, to make your crust, you have 2 options to crush your cookies. You can do this by hand with a rolling pin with your cookies in a plastic bag, or you can use a food processor. I'm gonna run the food processor until these are a nice fine crumb. The finer the crumb, the better they stick together to form the crust. I'm gonna melt 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and I'm gonna add my crushed ginger snaps along with some sugar. Stir that together with a fork until it's nice and moistened. The mixture should stick together when you press it. All right, to make a pumpkin cheesecake, you need a springform pan, and that is kind of like this. It has a ring with a bottom, and then the sides is gonna go like this. It's gonna clasp together with the bottom inside, and that makes it so that when the cheesecake's done, it's easy to remove the sides from the cheesecake and fully take it out of the pan. The way that I avoid cracks in my cheesecake is by baking it in a water bath. It's one little bit of an extra step, but it's totally worth it. So now that we have the crust mixture ready, we're gonna press it into our springform pan. But before we do that, we need to prepare the pan for the water bath. Now, springform pans aren't like a regular cake pan because they come apart. And so there's seams in there, right? If we put this in a water bath with seams, the water is just gonna soak through and ruin our cheesecake. So what you need to do is cover the bottom of the pan with foil. So you're gonna put foil, a few layers of foil underneath the pan, and wrap it up the sides of the pan so that when we put it in the water bath, the inside of the pan will be protected from the water. So go ahead and wrap your springform pan with foil, and then we're going to press the crust into the bottom. This is a nice thick crust. I love crust, obviously. I'm crazy for crust, so I like a nice thick crust on my cheesecakes. So this one, you're gonna press it into the bottom and up the sides of your springform pan. Once you have your crust all pressed into the pan, go ahead and bake that for 10 minutes in a 350-degree oven while we prepare the filling. I highly recommend a stand mixer for this, but you could definitely use a hand mixer. It might just take a little bit longer. If you have to do this by hand, you can, but it's gonna take a long time to make sure that there are no lumps in your cheesecake. So the more powerful your mixer, the better. The secret to a lump-free cheesecake is room temperature ingredients. That's why I had you take out the cream cheese and the eggs at the very, very beginning. You have to remember to do that. There's no microwaving that's gonna help you make sure that these are room temperature. Everything that goes into your cheesecake needs to be room temperature, okay? That's gonna make sure that you don't have lumps in your finished product. First, you're gonna mix 3 packages of cream cheese with a can of pumpkin and your sugar. Mix that until it's nice and smooth. The smoother you can get it at this point, the less lumps you're gonna have at the end. Then you're gonna mix in your eggs, 5 of them, one at a time. Add your vanilla, your flour, salt, and pumpkin pie spice. I use a whole tablespoon of pumpkin spice. But down in the recipe, you'll see I break it out if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, how much of what kind of spices to use. Hopefully you won't have too many lumps because you started with room temperature ingredients, but beat this until it's as smooth as possible. So now is where the water bath comes in. Remember, we wrapped our springform pan with foil, and so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook this cheesecake in a water bath. So now take a big roasting pan. I'm just using one I could bake a turkey or a chicken in. You can use a disposable one if you prefer. And we're gonna put the cheesecake in the center of the pan. Remember, we have the foil on the side, so it's not gonna get wet. To bake a cheesecake in a water bath, you need hot water. So I have my kettle on to boil with several cups of water in it, probably about 4 to 6 cups, depending on the size of your roasting pan. Place it in a 325-degree oven, the center rack. And then very carefully, you're gonna pull the rack out and you're going to add the hot boiling water into the pan. And you want the hot water to come up about 1/3 or so of the way of the cheesecake. Just make sure it's below the foil line because you don't want water getting into your cheesecake. Okay, and then you're gonna bake that for 75 minutes. After 75 minutes, you're gonna crack the oven, turn it off, and let it sit there for an hour, okay? Once the hour's up, then you're gonna take the cheesecake out, let it sit on the stove or on the counter until it's cool. Then you're gonna wrap it with plastic and put it in the refrigerator overnight. So yeah, cheesecake's not simple. There's a lot of little steps to it, but I promise it's worth it. What happens if your cheesecake cracks? I mean, you could do everything right and it could still crack. It's just something that happens sometimes. They're kind of finicky. If your cheesecake cracks, no worries. Just decorate the entire top with whipped cream or whip up a little cream cheese frosting or even a cream cheese whipped cream to frost the top with. No one will know that it's cracked, I promise. All right, when you're ready to serve your cheesecake, I like to top it with whipped cream. And there you have it, pumpkin cheesecake with a ginger snap crust. This is the perfect dessert for Thanksgiving or Christmas or any holiday. It's delightfully pumpkin. The spice of the ginger snaps just add a ton of flavor. This is one of my favorite cheesecake recipes, no doubt. I first made this cheesecake probably 9 or 10 years ago, and I've been making it so often ever since. My family absolutely loves it, and I know that yours will too. All right, are you guys ready to taste this with me? Ooh, I can taste the pumpkin spice and that ginger snap flavor. Wow, this is just as good as I remembered. Leave me a comment and let me know what you love about making cheesecake. All right, you go ahead and watch the next video. I'm gonna go pop this in the freezer in the hopes that it's still here on Thanksgiving.